when it comes to the biggest thing that that they integrate or don't integrate Babalaos with when it comes to divination is establishing the tutelary Orisha, guardian angel divinations, Itoletos, their biggest thing is, well, we've always done it this way. We did it. And so why do we, now that there's Babalaos around, why do we need to do it? Why do we need to use it? We both, here's the deal. It's not even if they're knowledgeable, most elders won't even deny that Babalaos used to be the ones to do it. Ifa system is considered the complete Ifa corpus, not part. That Orunmila is the impartial one that should do to find out, because again, Orunmila doesn't seat no one's head. So there's an impartiality with him, as opposed to the other Orishas can seat on their heads. And most can agree with that. Most can agree that it's even in Odu, Osaroso, and amongst others. Oyakunfun, plenty. The argument is that we've always done it this way and we'll continue. It's like saying, we've always done CAT scans to find this problem out with your illness and to search for diseases or tumors or something. We didn't have MRIs in our area, in our town, in our region. So we started doing them and doing the diagnoses through CAT scans. And then MRIs come available where, now there's plenty. No, we've always done it this way. We don't need you get MRIs and utilizing you guys. I'm an expert on a CT scanning, and that's what I'll do. That to me is the analogy that people are using. Well, why do I? But we've been doing it for the last some odd years of doing it this way. And why do we need to now? We have available the system. Again, you need to be looking out for the person that's finding out, wants to know the biggest question that will determine how things are going to go for them in their life, and who are they going to crown, and who's going to be their godparent, and what kind of energy they come. When it was predetermined before they came to this earth, which Orisha should accompany them to help them overcome their trials, tribulations, and help them fulfill their destiny. The Ori was chosen, and Orunmila was a letting being, was witness to that. It's important to know that. So at the end of the day, that is a house rule versus religion. And I'm not judging anybody else who does. I'm just telling you what I do in my house. We have Orunmila determine that. I don't personally agree with others doing it, but that's between you and God, and you and Orunmila, you and Eshu. Because people fail to realize it's the Orishas themselves who defend Orunmila above all. When there's disrespect to Orunmila, it's the Orishas that will uphold that. The same way they uphold the Babalao to his standards, they will uphold other people as well to the standards of Orunmila. And that is fact. So at the end of the day, again, culture versus religion, cultural differences. Isheshe. Again, I'm going to tell you the culture, and it's also the way it was done, and why it has changed, and why it should be changed. And I'm going to give you the examples. In Isheshe, the culture is the religion, and when there's no alakbatori. They don't even understand, most of them don't understand that concept unless they study within their diaspora. But the way it was traditionally in the Genesis in Nigeria, there were certain tribes, houses of Orishas that they belonged to, family Orishas. Their father and mother in this town or home worshipped Yemaya. And all the kids born, all were Yemaya. Or this town, or this area. Okay? And that was fine. That was understood. But when they're spread out, and generations are born into Cuba, into the camps, and wherever, and even nowadays, you don't know where you came from or where you could have been, your family could have all been Christians or Baptists or Muslims, and then you decide to get into tradition. There's a way to determine which Orisha energy that you should follow. So today, they still haven't adapted to that, and they don't do, most of them that I've talked to won't do that divination. They'll go off an Odu. Or they'll go off with this Odu Obatala speaks. So that's who you're going to crown. And to me, that's a mistake, because many Orishas speak through an Odu.
Right. Yeah.
Many Patakis of different Orishas will speak through an Odu.
Right. Yeah.
You can throw back the birth of Elegua. You must have to get crowned by Elegua. But that's the first time Ochun was crowned.
Yeah.
There was many Patakis of Obatala. You can't, a lot of them I talk to, that I personally talk to, who follow a very well-known Isheshe house in Nigeria and in the United States. Probably one of the most popular. I talked to him, and they say they don't. They go off the Odu. And he came this Odu, so he was, him and his wife both came with Odu, spoke heavily of Obatala, and that's what they crown, and that's what their kids are gonna do. There's a whole different thing of how things are done in Isheshe, and they have their own ways of doing things, and the crownings, and receiving Orisha. Even not having Odu or Lofi in the Babala initiation, that is something separate. They do a 3-day ceremony, and then that's something that can be done later. In our tradition, the whole concept of a Babalawu being initiated is the presence of Odu. Again, there's a lot of different cultural religions, and you think that this is the way that it's done, and this has to be the right way. It is not. That is the culture and evolution and the adaptation. We have the 5 pillars, right? We created that out of adaptation, because they used to just get their own head Orisha, head and foot, and there wasn't enough Orisha priests around, and they were struggling. So they said, well, one person crowns, they're going to receive the main 5, and then they have those Orishas in their possession. Someone comes to them, even though they're a child of Yemaya, and someone comes and needs to crown Obatala, they have Obatala that they can be birthed from. Again, back to my point, life has to come from life, and they would have those Orishas to keep these Orishas alive. And that tradition continued. And that's how you have different things. In Lukumi, someone goes to crown Yoko Ocha or gets seated with their Orisha, they receive the other Orishas that accompany them.
Right.
As to other cultures. And that in Isheshe tradition, they can be received separately in times and due to those initiations. But even Ilekes, receiving them before crowning is a Lukumi tradition. In Isheshe, they don't. You receive your Ilekes when you crown that Orisha, and you get the Ileke of that Orisha only.
Right, yes.
But I know a lot of Isheshe houses that give the Ilekes. The concept of warriors and receiving the cauldron pot, that is all a Lukumi thing. I've seen many Isheshe priests give out warriors with the cauldron, with the Ogun pot, with the Osu. That's not how it was done in Isheshe. That is a Lukumi thing. That is something that is adapted with many, if not most, Isheshe houses. Ogun was a shrine, was a big pile of iron in Nigeria, and that's where they worshiped. No one had it, but as they did, and they went to diaspora, they needed some type of Ogun, because where they were, they didn't have that. They were in some foreign area, some language, so they created a cauldron with the 7 tools, and that was said, and they also was the staff.
Yeah.
The Babala, but you got that representing that. So there's a lot of differences. And that's where you get the cultural differences. Not only is it Ifa Ocha-centric, but it's also Isheshe, Lukumi, cultural house. And then you got the house rules. Not only the cultural difference, then you got the house rules. You could be all Lukumi, and then there could be different rules. In this house, in Ilekes, You don't wear these together, and you don't wear that. You can't wear them until. One Babalawo was saying in his house they don't put Shango and Elegua together too. That they cannot be alone or together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where his godfather does it, and that's how they do it in their house.
Right.
And I think he said that they don't. You really don't. We only wear your head or Orisha that you crowned and until later, until after you get out of your wall year or something like that. I don't know. We had discussions about it, and whenever I've had problems with other people and other Babalaos, I message them. I never go on their thing. Mm-hmm. And then I stopped messaging. I literally told this Babalao, I said, listen, this is why I stay off social media, because every time I see something, I'm having a problem with it, because he had made a post that granted, with the respect, he did say this is how his house does it, his included it. But my challenge was, if you're going, he said, because they're two warriors that don't sit together. So in that opinion, if you're going off the ileges of energy,
yeah,
the energy of this Orisha is a warrior and this is a warrior, they don't go together. And if you're going off energy, then you should say, well, then Ochum and Shango should never be together.
right,
because those energies are taboo to each other.
yeah,
God forbid you have an Oya Ileke with Yemeya or Shango.
right,
Can't wear that. Then go across the board. Ogun, if you have an Ileke of Ogun, if you receive the Ogun, then you shouldn't wear Ogun. You know, then you're getting into all of that. That to me didn't make sense. We wear them all together, receive them together, and you wear them all together.
right.
But again, that's when you're getting into a lot of differences of house rules and letting you know all the different things out there that you think one way is the right way or the only way, and understanding that's just because your house does it that way.
Yeah.
Or that's just because of the cultural differences.
Yes.
So I'm bringing all these different topics all out of there, you know, for us to talk about.
Okay.